So I took one more look at myself in the hospital bed because I was much more interested in. I could see the white light of home was coming like a triangle, and this magnetic pull to it. So I look one more time at myself in the hospital bed, and I go, she's
enough.
fine. So blasé, not fine at all. But from this perspective, we're always fine because the soul knows it's eternal.
True.
So just is very, very detached from anything that might be going on with the body. Just doesn't necessarily see it as a challenge in that moment. So I'm more focused on following the lights. It's exactly what I did, and I went easily and quickly, up through the ceiling of the hospital, and then just went up and up and up and up, and just feeling better and better as I traveled, further, feeling more and more like myself. But then all of a sudden, I don't know if you've ever run out of gas. It's that terrible feeling of like,
it's like, okay, I'm trying to get somewhere, but I can't get
out of school. I was out of energy. And I remember thinking, oh, please don't make me walk through that long tunnel to get home because I'm out of gas. I don't have any energy left. And the moment I had that thought, this beautiful escalator dropped in. It was pristine. There's nothing else on it. It's gorgeous. There's so much light coming from it. And I just went, oh, there's my ride. Onto the escalator. So I get my ride up to the light, up to home.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. We have a very special guest lined up for you today, and I'm stoked to get started. So without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Hey, everybody. Justin here. Thank you for joining us on Living Life Consciously. Leslie?
Hello, I'm Leslie, also known as Light Being Love, an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. And we are here with the lovely Wendy Rose Williams. Wendy, would you like to say hello?
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for your time. And for our audience, what happens when a near-death experience opens the door to your soul's true mission? In this powerful episode of Living Life Consciously, we're talking with Wendy Rose Williams, a past life energy healer, Reiki Master, and certified spiritual teacher who has transformed her own life and countless others by helping people release their energy that no longer serves them. After experiencing 2 life-changing near-death experiences while pregnant in 1997, Wendy met her angels, discovered her soul contracts, and embarked on a spiritual awakening that led her to train with legends like Dr. Brian Weiss and explore the depths of past life regression therapy. In this episode, we'll learn how Wendy overcame debilitating chronic pain, uncovered lifetimes of healing wisdom, and now empowers others to free themselves from pain, anxiety, depression, and stuck energy. Wendy is also the author of books like Regression Healings 1 and 2, which are a beacon of hope for anyone seeking soul deep transformation. You don't want to miss this conversation filled with healing insights, spiritual wisdom, and life-affirming breakthroughs. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you. So what happened with the near-death experiences, as you said, it was the summer of 1997. I was newly pregnant. My husband and I were very excited because there had been years of infertility as well as 2 ectopic pregnancies. And we did have a toddler, and we wanted to add to the family. So I was 10 weeks pregnant. I'd had just one visit to the OBGYN physician, and everything was looking great from his perspective. I was noticing two things that seemed odd to me. One of which was I kept having this vivid dream, and it was always the same dream, and it was several nights a week, and that was really unusual for me. And I didn't know the concept of prophetic dreams. That's there, there just might be a warning, a prophecy coming up. And what would happen in the dream was it was this terrible storm out at sea, and I would just see this ship, and there was all this ripping and tearing, like the cleats would come off and the winches would come off, and the masts would all go down, and the ship would break in two, and the ship would go down. Doesn't take a master dream interpreter to tell you, Wendy, pay attention. There may be a crisis coming up here.
Oh, sure.
And the other thing that I was noticing was just this extreme heartburn. I'd actually called the doctor's office a couple times about it, and I was surprised to be having so much of it. And they had said, well, Mylanta, you can go ahead and take as much as you need to. That's safe in pregnancy, but it wasn't doing a dang thing for me. So the day of the first NDE, it was a weekday. I was working at home alone. My husband's at work. He's got one car, and our nanny was at the park with our toddler, and she had our other car. And I just didn't feel right. I was like trying to focus. I'm trying to get work done, but
something's off though.
Just didn't feel right. I all of a sudden had this sense of impending doom. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And I ran into the bathroom thinking, I don't know what's happening. I'm going to be sick. I don't know what's happening. I made it into the bathroom, and I actually looked down at my abdomen, and I'm just clutching my abdomen because I was in so much pain. It felt like someone had literally stuck a knife in me. And it felt like all I could think of was an organ just burst.
Oof.
Oh, wow.
And I remember crying out to God for help, particularly knowing I was home alone. And I passed out on the bathroom floor. And I only came to because there was this insistent male voice, and he just kept saying urgently, Wendy, you've got to wake up. You've got to call for help now, or you're going to go home. And I knew exactly what he meant, that I was going to die. So I opened my eyes, I'm disoriented and, laying on my side, and I'm looking around the bathroom, and the bathroom was just filled with this gorgeous, huge amount of white light coming from angels. There were 4 or 5 of them, and it just filled my world. And I could just feel this love coming from them and this compassion coming from them. And he then repeated, you've got to call for help now. And I was like, I understand, but I don't have a phone. I mean, again, this is 1997. We didn't have the phone, a cell phone.
Yeah, we had beepers at that time, but I don't think cell phones was really a thing yet.
Right. So his answer was on multiple levels. And I've since learned that angels are just so profound. They can say one thing very precisely, just a few words, and it's got like 3
layers,
layers to it. Exactly. So what he said was, you just have to be willing to try. And I think he was referring not only to effort, because no one can come in with a magic wand, and just change our life. We've got to do our part. Yes, we can work with our higher self and our inner child and our guides, God, whoever you relate to, ascended masters, whoever it is, but we've got to do our part and put the effort in. I think he was also referring to free will. So I managed to get up on my hands and knees. That was all I could do. And at that point, all I had to do was get to the landline from the master bath to the master bedroom. Was just right there on the nightstand, so very close by. And it was like I was gently moved. I was just like gently flown in that same position is the only way I can describe it.
Wow.
And it's just mind-boggling. I mean, the whole thing was mind-boggling to have angels be real and be such a palpable presence. I mean, that was already just my belief system was changing so rapidly during this experience. So I'm now on the ground, and I'm like reaching up, trying to find the phone. And I did have a quick thought: who do I call? He didn't say who to call, so I decided to call my husband at work because he worked very close to home at that time. He was 5 minutes away. So I thought, well, if I can get him on the phone, that will be miracle number, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 in this
At this point, right?
this occurrence today. And that's exactly what happened. I got him right away on the phone, and I give him a lot of credit because all I said was, I need you to drive me to the hospital now. Can you take me to the hospital now? And all he said was, on my way. And I could hear the phone slam down.
He understood the assignment.
Right.
He'd be home, in 3 minutes for the 5-minute drive. So I had just enough time to call the OB office. I told them what was happening and that my abdomen was distending just markedly. I could just see it getting bigger and bigger, which I didn't understand why that was happening. And I told them my husband was on the way, and they said, great, he'll get you here faster than 911 at this point. So that's perfect. When you get here, don't park, just pull up curbside. We're going to meet you with a wheelchair because we don't want you walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's exactly what happened. And also, fortunately, my OB office was located at the hospital.
Convenient.
And it was really important for me too. So I get whisked up to the doctor's office and helped up onto the ultrasound table because I couldn't even get myself up there, and because I was just doubled over and in so much pain. And the ultrasonographer starts doing the study, and I'm looking at the screen, and I'm puzzled. And I said to her, "Is your machine on? Is that machine working?" Because all I could see was these black screen and like a little bit of like wavy lines. It's like, where are the organs? Why can't I see anything?
Sure.
These ultrasounds are amazing. I mean, you can just see so much.
Sounds like you had free blood flowing around in there, keeping them from seeing your organs.
You already know what I did.
Yes, ma'am.
No. So her reply was, I'm going to get the doctor now.
Ooh.
Looking at my husband like, I don't know what's going on. So it's not good.
Yes.
She's back very quickly with not only a physician, but she's got a nurse midwife with her. And that was kind of humorous because I'm watching everybody try and squeeze their bodies into this room that's meant for 2. And we've now got
5 people.
multiple people in there. And the physician adjusts the machine, and he looks at the screen, and he knows exactly what he's looking at in combination with how I'm presenting, and says exactly what you just said, that there's a major blood loss going on. That's all blood.
Yeah.
That's why we can't see anything, and we need to admit you to the hospital now. So someone ran and got a stretcher from the other side because they didn't want me sitting upright in the wheelchair, and took me over and admitted me directly into a bed and just lifted me from the stretcher into the bed. And so there's just a lot going on. There's multiple nurses, the doctor's with me, my husband is there. And what the immediate need was to start transfusing. So we agreed we were going to start transfusing because I'm losing blood quickly. So someone asked me, do you know your blood type? It's like, absolutely. And so I told them it's A negative. I think everyone should know their blood type and get one of the free apps.
I was just thinking, I'm like, what is my blood type? Oh my gosh.
The ICD in case of emergency.
I don't think I know that.
And you just download it. You put it, you find out your blood.
How do you get it?
Go donate. Go donate blood.
Okay. Okay.
You will find out, if it's not already on a medical record somewhere. And then just put that app on your phone, because if you're ever in an emergency situation, 911 and the medics, they don't have to know your password, and they can access that and any other information.
Right.
So I think that's really just important for everybody's safety, and help friends and relatives do it.
Yeah, it is important to know, and I know that I'm B positive, and the only reason why I remember that is because I try to be positive in life.
I love that. I love that.
I was like, I can remember that because that's what I want to actually be like. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
that's really,
I think I'm type O.
Oh, isn't that the universal one?
Yeah, anybody
You're a
can
typo.
identify with O positive, right?
the universal donor.
Yeah.
So the nurse goes
That's
to, they're happy. I already know my blood type. And the nurse goes to the nursing station. And also I worked in healthcare. So I was kind of seeing things that other people might not notice. I noticed they'd put me right next to the nurse's station, which meant they were concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And she's calling the Puget Sound Blood Bank because Seattle has a regional blood bank to not be wasting this precious resource. And she comes back in a few minutes later, and to our surprise says, I can't get any A negative blood for her right now because evidently there was a train collision a few earlier and it had used up all the A negative blood supply at that point.
Oh, no.
So we've been going through the decisions. Should I be going right into surgery? But we don't have blood. We don't know exactly what we're operating on. I'm pregnant. I mean,
right. So many factors to consider.
Right, exactly. So you want to take a beat and be making the right decision. I also want to point out, I was in my local community hospital, but I knew it well. I had not only delivered there, but I'd had my ectopic pregnancies there. And again, I worked in healthcare, and I knew they did about 5,000 births a year at that time, which meant there was just a deep, wonderful infrastructure for OB emergencies. So I said, you don't need to transfer me anywhere. I'm right where I need to be.
Okay.
So we made the decision to see could they get blood elsewhere, and that's exactly what they did. They were able to borrow it from another hospital.
Nice.
The blood bank didn't have any, ironically. And so about 6 hours later, I start getting transfused. And so can't get out of bed because just need to lay prone. And I mean, the body's a miracle. So we were just trying to see, can we transfuse, and can this resolve on its own as the body's trying to repair itself.
Did they know where the bleeding was coming from, or am I jumping the gun?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So we chose very consciously, because of all those different factors going on, to use transfusion medicine. I, of course, was being attended very closely, and we did what's called wait and watch for about 3 days. It was increasingly difficult. I had this problem right from the beginning. It was hard to focus. It was hard to stay conscious. It was hard to intelligently answer questions. I could feel myself walking between worlds. I could feel myself making the decision, do I stay or do I go? What most concerned me about that was I didn't really care. That is so not my personality. I've just always been just so enthusiastic, and if plan A doesn't work, well, you got all the way to the letter Z,
Right.
Just figure it out. So it's like, wow, this is really a turning point. So each morning, my hematocrit was being taken along with other monitoring that was going on. And on day 3, my physician said to me, Wendy, you are officially bleeding out, meaning we can't transfuse quickly enough because you just lose it more quickly than we can
figure out where it's coming from and stop it up.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Gosh.
Exactly. And I was just in so much pain because, of course, we're transfusing as fast as possible. So I'm in so much pain in my left arm and just in the abdomen. So I was on morphine, very, very quickly, which I'm sure was not helping with the intelligent decision making.
Right.
So we did make the decision, and I signed the paperwork, and there was some feeling of relief. Okay, I've made this really hard decision. I need to have surgery. I'm going to have the surgery. And it was going to be the first patient the next morning with my OB and one of his partners.
Okay.
We did have some discussion. Are we going to do general surgery? Are we going to do vascular? Because again, like I said, I worked in healthcare. So there were a lot of important discussions going on, but we'd made our decision. I had my dinner, 4:30, and I'm alone in the room. I'm just trying to relax and visualize the best possible outcome the night before surgery. The minute I had that thought, I popped right out of my body, left my body. I was like, that feels so much better, because almost immediately I'm not only not in physical pain, but I'm not scared to death regarding my own health, regarding the baby. It was just such a relief to be out of my body. I remember looking back over my left shoulder and looking at myself as Wendy in the bed. And I could also feel my sense of humor coming back. And I just think that's one of our best coping mechanisms. So I'm looking at myself, I'm like, oh, wow, look at her. She's a hot mess. She looks like the wild woman of Borneo, because her hair is just crazy. Because, it's been 3 days in bed. There's been no brush or comb or hair washing going on. So I remember thinking that.
Did you recognize it as you immediately?
It took me a few minutes to work that out. First, I kind of did this critique of myself in the bed. I'm also thinking, wow, she's whiter than the sheet. She is bleeding. She's bleeding out. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why am I using third person? That's what made me recognize and work out. I'm like, okay, I know I'm me because I'm in pure soul form. I'm my higher self. And I'm this brilliant, buoyant, happy orb of light. But I also know that's my body. And the difference was just, yes, the body's very important. It's our wonderful temple. We've chosen it. It's so important for that temporary housing for our soul, but it does not define us. It's not who we are. It's just our wonderful house for that lifetime and vehicle for learning and adventures, etc. So I took one more look at myself in the hospital bed, because I was much more interested in, I could see the white light of home. It was coming like a triangle and this magnetic pull to it. So I look one more time at myself in the hospital bed and I go, she's fine. So blasé. Not fine at all. But from this perspective, we're always fine, because the soul knows it's eternal.
True.
So just is very, very detached from anything that might be going on with the body. Just doesn't necessarily see it as a challenge in that moment. So I'm more focused on following the light. So it's exactly what I did, and I went easily and quickly, up through the ceiling of the hospital, and then just went up and up and up and up, and just feeling better and better as I traveled, further, feeling more and more like myself. But then all of a sudden, I don't know if you've ever run out of gas. It's that terrible feeling of like, it's
okay, I'm trying to get somewhere, but I can't get
out of fuel. I was out of energy. And I remember thinking, oh, please don't make me walk through that long tunnel to get home, because I'm out of gas. I don't have any energy left. And the moment I had that thought, this beautiful escalator dropped in. It was pristine. There's no one else on it. It's gorgeous. There's so much light coming from it. And I just went, oh, there's my ride. Onto the escalator. And in doing so, I'm just hanging over the handrail on the right. And I'm like, wow, look at me. I knew I should be like a beach ball, but I'm like, flatter than a pancake, just like hanging over the right.
Yeah.
So I get my ride up to the light, up to home, and everyone's waiting for me. So there's 18 or 20 soul family members there. And there's also the same 4 or 5 angels that were there in my bathroom. I can see them in the back row. And I know they're angels because they're bigger. There's more light from them, and you can just feel more love and wisdom. And everyone just gives me this big group hug when I get to the top of the escalator. I could have stayed there forever.
Oh.
because it was unconditional love. And it makes me want to cry even now, many years later. And that made me realize we don't feel that enough. I don't think we're good at necessarily giving it to ourselves. I think we need to get better at that, as well as giving it to other people. Because I think love on this planet, it's often conditional. It's got judgments attached to it. I don't think that's the way we're meant to live. So I'm getting this huge, huge hug and just basking in that. And then I hear the same angel that had addressed me in my bathroom say, "Welcome home. We're so glad you're here. You made it. You've done nothing wrong. You're welcome to stay." And as he's saying that, everyone's still hugging me. I'm like, well, of course I'm staying. I'm getting this hug. What are you? Of course I'm staying. And so he realizes that and kind of like motions everyone to take a step back. And it's like, okay, now I can focus and I can hear Archangel Michael better. Because of course I knew who he was once I raised my vibration and frequency and was up with the light. The second time I recognized his voice. I hadn't recognized him the first time in the bathroom. And he tells me, I can tell you 3 things to help you make your decision because you're going to need to decide quickly. It's like, yes, I understand why, because I flash back on that body in the bed. It's like, that is not viable for very long.
Yeah.
No soul in it and already bleeding out. So what he tells me is, number 1, if you choose to go back, you will have a successful surgery tomorrow. And you will fully regain your health. So I'm like, oh, this is like the world starting to come off my shoulders as I hear this. Number 2, your baby will be born healthy. This is also huge because, as I said, with the history that I had, I was 36, and with the history that I'd had with infertility ectopics, I really felt like this was my last opportunity, and I just felt there was something really special about the child. So I really wanted to hold on to the pregnancy. So this again is just huge to hear that. So now I'm starting to kind of teeter. Oh goodness, should I consider going back? And then number 3 was the kicker. If you do choose to go back, your life will be very difficult, likely for many years, because you're not living your purpose. So I am horrified to hear this. I'm chagrined. I just feel terrible. So of course I ask him, I'm looking at him like, well, what's my purpose?
That's the first thing I thought of when you said that. Exactly. I'm like, well, what's the purpose that I can fulfill so it doesn't have to be miserable?
Exactly. So I'm asking Michael all these questions, and he just gently shakes his head. So I'm like, okay, no more information there. I was like, well, wait a minute. I've got my whole soul family here. There's got to be a chatty Cathy in the group. So that's how I'm going to solve this problem.
You're funny.
I start going around to person after person, and I recognized a lot of them. I knew exactly who they were. 5 of them really stood out to me. And I'm asking them, and no one will tell me anything.
Oh, so they're all zip-lipped on you, huh?
Just started to plummet. And at home, we've got that perfect telepathy. Everyone knows exactly what everyone is thinking, feeling. There's no missed communication. There's no problems with that, again, like on Earth. So everyone sees me just getting more and more deflated. So they start being funny. So I go to ask the next person, and they put like duct tape over their mouth, but like in a really fun way. And I go like, okay, I get it. And I go ask one more person, and they do like lock and key, and they throw the key away.
Bunch of comedians up there, huh?
Exactly. That sense of humor, it's just so vibrant. And again, we need to bring more of that with us.
I agree.
So I'm like, okay, I get it. No one's supposed to tell me that. That's just the bottom line. So I need to make this decision. And right then, Archangel Michael says to me, "What do you want to do?" And as he asked me that question, all I can see is our toddler's face. I can see Tara's face, but it's not normal size. It like filled my world. It was like in every direction. It was like bigger than an IMAX screen. And I can see her brown curly hair and her big hazel eyes. And she's just smiling at me. And I know I'm going to regain my health and have a successful surgery. I know I'm going to have another healthy baby. So the answer was easy. And I said, put me back in, coach.
Those were your words?
Yes.
I love that.
Back in, I said, I'm ready to play. There's a song my dad used to recite. It's a baseball reference, but it's symbolic to life. And it's put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. And it's the kid, like, wants to get off the bench. So that was just what came out of my mouth. And so everyone just starts like clapping and cheering and hugging me, and they're so excited. They're like, "You're so brave, you can do it." And they give me one more huge group hug. And that time I realized it wasn't only that unconditional love, but it was energy. And I don't think I would have survived that long, complex surgery the next day.
Had it not been for that.
Without getting that download and just that encouragement. And it was just exactly what I needed. And I think that's often what the purpose of a near-death experience is giving you the opportunity for a mid-course correction.
I like that analogy, mid-course correction.
Somewhere, along the way in your life, because you just see things differently and remember things. So I get that huge hug from everyone. And like I said, they're all in cheerleader mode, and Mike turns me around and puts me back on the down escalator. And I'm just, looking over my shoulder and smiling and waving to everybody. And they're all doing the same thing. And again, I was noticing five individuals in particular. Everyone looked exactly the same. They looked like these big, joyous beach balls with like a lightning storm of energy within them. But I knew exactly who they were. No one had to introduce themselves or show themselves to me in any different way. I knew all four grandparents were there. It didn't surprise me to find my mom's grandparents. They had stepped right to the front, my maternal grandparents. I was very close to them. We'd actually lived with them, and I lived with them in Florida. So that didn't surprise me. And they had passed on years before I had this experience. But it took me a minute to work out, oh my gosh, that's my paternal grandparents. That's Dad's parents. I knew exactly who they were. I never met them in this lifetime. They died before I was born.
I was wondering if you saw anybody up there that you didn't know from Earth in this incarnation.
The five of them stood out the most to me because they kind of stepped forward, but I sensed a cousin there, an uncle, my brother who's deceased. I sensed other people there, but it also was this reminder to me, all this bohunky we put into differences about race and religion and culture and all these atrocities and just prejudice and bias. It makes no sense because we're all exactly the same. We're exactly the same. We're these beautiful souls. And some of us forget that when we get down to earth. So it was an important reminder of that. And another soul that really stood out to me, it took me a minute to work out. I knew exactly who she was, and she's one of my best friends in this lifetime. She's been my mother in many lives, as well as a best friend, and just really important person to me. She's very much alive. So that took me a minute. And
so that was her higher self then.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. But that took me a minute to recognize that. I'm like, oh, and the implications of that are wonderful because I have people worrying about, well, what if when I die and I can't have a reunion with so-and-so? Well, you always can, because there's that portion of us at home is our higher self, because we cannot bring all our energy with us. It wouldn't fit into any one body.
Right.
So also gives us the opportunity for the parallel lives, the simultaneous lives, so that we can learn and experience more. So it was like such a refresher course in everything that we know in our hearts, that we know intuitively, but we've forgotten, or we've gotten muddied up with like overthinking in the left brain, and the ego is just tripping us up.
Sure.
So,
the veil of forgetfulness in the programming is real. It's definitely real.
exactly. And there's good reasons for the veil of amnesia, so that we just are willing to try things again and just, have that childlike wonder and enthusiasm. There's good reasons for it, but it also, it can be awfully dense.
Sure. So yeah, the idea that we are here, but like we still have another piece of us as our higher selves that's still up in with source doing things. And then there's also other fractals of us that are living simultaneous parallel lives.
Exactly.
Also. So
exactly. There's just a lot
so
going
interesting.
on.
Yes.
There really is. So I go back down that escalator, and it was just very easy, just very gently. I'm back in the hospital room. I see my body, and I just gently like plop back into my body. And I had two immediate thoughts. The first thought was, oh, this hurts. This is painful. I'm like, okay, I just have to make it through another 12 hours or so until the surgery tomorrow morning. And it just felt so different, because I knew there was going to be a successful outcome to it. And my other thought was, dang, why is she so small? I was annoyed to be 5'2".
Okay.
Because I just knew that I just had that refresher in how big and limitless and powerful we really are. And then it's like, oh wow, I got to squeeze into this body again. It just, didn't feel great. So that took me a few minutes to adjust to that. And I'm like, no, it's okay. I chose this body. There's good reasons for it. I can be 6'4" in another life. I can be something huge in another life.
Right.
I love that you comforted yourself with that thought.
Yeah.
Exactly. So obviously did have a successful surgery the next morning. And what they found was it was actually the fundus, Fundus, which is the aorta at the top of the uterus. That's what had ruptured. So that's why there had been so much blood loss so quickly.
Wow.
So it was fortunate that could be surgically repaired.
And then the baby was okay throughout all
Very
of that.
fortunate that I was only 10 weeks pregnant, because of course, the baby's, less than a peanut. And they did the surgery with some imaging guidance, and made sure to just stay away from the fetus. And they said she was kind of like perfectly tucked, like really lower left, and as far from where they were.
Your angels did that. I know for sure they did that. They were like, let's get her out the way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. They estimated I lost 3/4 of my blood supply in that
Wow.
Wendy.
3-day process. So I had quite the oil change.
You're funny.
So I was in the hospital for several more days to recover, and went home with this very, very stern recommendation. You need to be basically on bed rest for 6 weeks. So who's going to help you? How are you going to do this? We were very fortunate that our nanny that we had was live-in, because my husband needed to go to work, and we didn't have any other family in the area. So she was taking care of me, as well as our very, very active toddler. So I went back to work. Job I love. I was the marketing director for a busy ambulatory surgery center. I'd been there for about 3 years. I was back at work, and coworkers would pass me in the hall, because I'd been out for 7 weeks at that point. And oh, Wendy, are you okay? We're so glad you're back. What happened? And busy. And I would just like look at them blankly, like. And what I learned to say was, I'm fine. I held on to the pregnancy. I just kind of learned to say that. That was like conversation, and left it at that, because I didn't know how to verbalize this experience. And
Sure.
I've since learned that is quite frequent for near-death experiencers. I didn't talk about this for 20 years.
I was literally just asking myself that question in the head. I'm like, I wonder how long it took her to talk about it.
Yeah.
20 years.
20 years.
20 years. The
Wow.
irony of that, because I lived in Seattle, which is where IANS, the first chapter of the International Association for Near-Death Studies, which is this amazing support group for near-death experiencers, their loved ones, the community. I didn't know about it. So evidently I was meant to process it on my own, or I would have found IANS. So I tried talking with my husband about it, and I very quickly realized he was more traumatized by it in some ways than I was. I mean, certainly hadn't gone through the physical, but just emotionally and mentally, because he hadn't had the benefits that I did of the angel connection, which remained after that experience. And he just hadn't had the uplift to it. So he just, just kind of needed to leave it alone and, focus on doing life.
Sure.
And so I'm back at work, and I get called into my boss's office on a Friday afternoon. I don't think a thing about it. It's now November of 1997. And I thought I just wanted to chat about the weekend plans or something he needed me to do the next week. So I walked into his office. I could see the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I hadn't even stepped over the threshold, and I already knew what it was, because human resources rep is also sitting there with my personnel file.
That Friday afternoon call to the office. It's like
it's so I'm laid off from a job I love, and I'm carrying the health insurance for the family, and I'm pregnant.
That seems wrong. That seems, would that be illegal right now? I'm trying to figure that out.
No,
I don't believe it is, because I did contact an attorney, and it was not illegal, at least at that time. Pregnancy is not a guarantee of continuing your employment or your health insurance. They were so humane. They tried to do everything they could to help me, but bottom line, I was laid off and I lost my health insurance. So this was a big blow for our family. So I go home.
The beginning of the challenges you were told about.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Said exactly. Everything he said just came true. Just some of it took years to roll out. So I go home. I apply for unemployment. I've got my great references, et cetera. I've got some severance, et cetera. But again, we have no health insurance. The COBRA was just cost prohibitive, and I'm applying for job searching. I'm applying for different assistance, but we owned a home, we owned 2 vehicles, and we wouldn't qualify for anything because we were wealthy.
Understood.
So, did you see the big quote marks there?
Yeah, I get it.
We had just moved into a new, larger home because we've got another baby on the way. We had purchased a minivan to get ready for those two car seats. So we were pretty stretched. My husband owned his own company, software company, with 4 other people. They had owned it for years. It was doing really well. They employed about 100 people. Had a lovely office in downtown Bellevue on Seattle's east side. To the day later, he comes home from work super late. I was really worried because I couldn't reach him by phone, and I didn't know if he'd had a fender bender or what had happened. It was about 3 hours later than normal, and so I'm sitting like by the front door when he comes home, like at 8 or 9 at night. And just as he walked in the door, again, I could just see the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I was like, "Are you okay? Oh my gosh, what happened? You're so late. I was so worried about you." And he said, "We need to talk."
He lost his job too, didn't he?
His company had gone belly up. They had laid off everyone in the company.
Oh, geez.
And he let me know. And it became like a scene in Charlie Brown, because what he said was, I've just gone to Payless Paydays. So now, you know how in Charlie Brown, they can't hear the teachers or the adults. It's just,
Wah, 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 wah.
I can't hear anything after Payless Payday, because my brain is going, those two words don't go together. Oxymoron. What does he mean?
Yeah.
Payless Payday. So he's explaining what had happened. And after about 5 minutes, I had to interrupt the poor man and say, can you go back to the Payless Payday? I don't understand. What are you going to be doing at work? What's going on? And he explained, well, we've got to find a way to sublease or get out of this lease. We've got to get everybody on unemployment. I'm going to be programming because we've already sold things, and now there's no programmers. So I'm going to be working 80 or 90 hours a week, and I won't be getting paid.
Wow.
Well, that's politer than my vocab, but I just was shocked. And I'm trying to, find my empathy too, because it's one thing to be laid off from a job you love and need, but to have it be your own company that you've put everything into, and it's been your dream for your lifetime. It's a different level of hurt to that. So it's like, I'm so sorry this is happening. I said, we'll figure it out. Just take the weekend. On Monday, you can apply for unemployment. And then he tells me, I'm not going to qualify for unemployment. I'm self-employed. There's no unemployment for me. So I'm like doing the math, and I'm like, oh, wow, we are officially screwed at this point. I just don't know what else.
Tough assessment.
There's just, because I'm already trying to juggle, we're maxing out credit cards. We're using the last of our savings. But as I said, new home and new vehicle based on two great jobs. And we both had MBA degrees. We purposefully worked in different industries. We thought we were doing everything.
You had all your bases covered. Yeah.
We thought we had our bases well covered, but it was a deep recession that was coming up at that point in late 97, early 1998. So we both went down at the same time. And I still was not back to 100% health. And I had to go through, even though I'd gotten that lovely intervention with the angels and going home, and they told me everything was going to be okay. The doctors had to explain what to watch for. And I was like, okay, what are the risks now that this has been surgically repaired? And stitched up the top, because think of how much the uterus grows and all the pressure on it. Well, they said, the risk is that it could rupture again and go up to your heart and lungs. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, isn't that death? And it's like, yes. So it's quite a way to go through a pregnancy and through a delivery.
Yeah.
So that was the situation. The next good thing that happened was I discovered I could still hear the angels. I could still connect with the other side in a way I hadn't been able to do before. So I was sitting in the pediatrician's office one day, and trying to corral our daughter, thinking, oh, please call our name soon. And all of a sudden I heard Michael say, look. And I could see this lamp getting brighter and brighter and brighter on this little side table. I could see a brochure in front of it. And I'm looking around the room, and I knew no one else could see this happening. So I ran over, tucked my daughter under my arm, run over there and grabbed the brochure, and I shove it in my diaper bag to read it home. And what it was an application for WIC, which I had never had not found. And it's the Women, Infants, and Children's Program. And it provided not only some healthy food that we really needed, but provided health insurance for me to be able to deliver. So that was huge, because home birth was not an option. Birth centers were not an option, et cetera. I was a high risk pregnancy for just multiple reasons. So I needed a hospital birth. So
thanks, Michael, for that lamp incident.
Exactly. So everything changed so we knew we were going to have the insurance, and we had the prenatal visits. So that was a big deal. So I'm still job searching, trying to just, manage our money to the penny. And he's off working tremendous hours, trying to get the company sold, just trying to do what they can for an orderly transition for the 5 owners. And what happened next was I was actually induced 1 week early before my due date. So I was going to be delivering on Friday, March 13th, 1998, again at my wonderful local hospital. And that's exactly what happened. They gave me one-on-one nursing, which is unheard of. So grateful for that. And our daughter was born healthy delivery.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. Just like Michael had said. And then my husband went back to a new job on the Monday after. So everything shifted in one weekend. So our astrology must have changed. The world astrology. And then I went back to work in June. So we, gave me like 3 months unpaid maternity leave to recover and go back. And we were saved with that big financial shortfall every month. We were saved by Bank of Mom. My mother kindly loaned us what we were short each month because our house was going to be repossessed. Our car was going to be taken away. We were going to lose everything.
Yeah.
So it was very stressful. We were very, very grateful to her.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'll stop at that point. Questions?
I have one that's been burning in my mind, and I think you pretty much answered it, but I just wanted to clarify that you didn't have a life review throughout your near-death experience.
I did not.
Right?
I call it the preview of coming attractions.
Okay.
Because I was on the younger side. I was 36 when this happened, and it was more important for me to know what was coming versus to see the bigger picture. I've had so much of that since then because I became psychic. I mean, we're all psychic, but it really just, broke open along the way. And then I had a major spiritual awakening in 2010 when I met the soulmate that had the contract to wake me up spiritually. So I think I didn't need it.
Understood. Yeah, we've spoken to people that have had NDEs, and some of them have life reviews, and other ones are so fast. They just go to this place that they consider to be like their happy place. They hang out, they see some family members, they talk to a being of light, and then poof, they're back in their body again. Some people aren't there. I don't even know if long enough is the right way to say it, but some people are not there long enough to have a life review.
Get exactly what we need. I think there's some common denominators between the near-death experiences, and I think there's unique factors too. I think it just depends on that person's journey and their psyche and what they need.
Absolutely.
So, okay, well then, should I continue with how it rolled out from there?
Sure. I mean, unless Justin or Leslie have specific questions, I'm kind of curious to get to this soulmate thing.
Okay. So what happens? So I was approved for a very short stay with the emergency health insurance. So I'm in the hospital 24 hours. I go in and labor on the Friday, and I'm taken out in the wheelchair the next morning, still going like, whoo, oh my gosh, what's happening? Because it was so quick. So I'm at home and just holding our daughter, and I'm so grateful. Anyone is grateful to be holding their newborn, but for me, with what I had gone through, it was a big deal. So I was by myself in our bedroom, nursing the baby, and Michael came in. I could just see the light, and I just felt him come in, and he just looked at me and smiled, and looked at the baby and smiled, and then he just said very conversationally, "Your contract with your husband is complete."
Oh,
okay.
I don't think you can argue with that.
Well, I tried.
You did?
Better than me.
Were you asking about that or inquiring, or just came out?
Not my best moment, but first I was like, well, wait a minute. Clarify what that means. Maybe he's not saying your marriage is over. Let's just clarify what he means here. And so I asked him, and I said exactly that. Are you saying my marriage is over? And he's like, yes, your contract with your husband is complete. Your marriage is complete.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're telling me this now with a
a newborn in my lap.
Wow.
I just came out of my body, baby.
Just came out of my body, baby.
That's funny.
And I'm just horrified.
Sure.
And
the fact that he says it so casually too, it's just like, yeah, your contract is done, so let's move on. And you're like, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute.
I knew it was true.
Oh.
I knew it in my bones. I knew it in my heart. It wasn't a surprise.
Okay.
I was just going to ask you, but I didn't want to ask you, did you know it before he said it, kind of thing?
I did.
Okay.
I did. It had been difficult and just various issues. Two people trying to do their very best.
Understood.
Sure.
But there were some irreconcilable differences that were just, and I've since learned that people who have NDEs, the divorce rate is
so high,
phenomenal.
Yes,
your worldview is changed.
Right.
You're not the same person.
We've heard that.
So we did our very best, and we chose to stay together peacefully until our daughters were both in school full time. Okay. So we divorced when they were 6 and 8 because we just thought that would be an easier way to do it. We went to a 50-50 residential schedule, and the girls went back and forth, and we made sure we lived close enough to each other to have that work. And they didn't have the term conscious uncoupling then, but that's exactly, we did a do-it-yourself divorce, which is pretty much unheard of too. It is not easy to accomplish a divorce without an attorney in the state of Washington. It's a big decision and it's a lot of unweaving, but we were able to manage that. And we kind of did that on purpose because we thought we need to learn how to work together very peacefully, even though we're not going to be living together. We did some counseling sessions as both separately as a couple to work through some things we couldn't see our way through.
Sounds like you guys handle it very maturely and amicably.
That was exactly what we were trying to accomplish, and made sure to just really tell our daughters, you are so loved. This is not your fault. You're going to have a great life. We're all going to have a great life. Yes, some things are going to be different, and you do have a voice and say in what's most important to you. So of all the interesting things, when we said, what do you really, really want us to still do? They still wanted like the annual family camping trip. So we did it, 2 camping cabins side by side.
Okay,
nice.
Right.
So
that's the compromise, the camping compromise.
Right. We just did what we could to just, keep things good for them. And it was 6 years later, I needed to rebuild my life. I needed to find a job that was higher paying. I was looking for a shorter commute. My mother chose to move out. She was retired and was living in Boston. I'm the only child, so it's the only grandchildren. So she decided to relocate out here. And as she put it, became team grandma.
Nice.
Meaning she's not going to favor, either parent over the other. It's if my ex-husband couldn't pick them up on time because traffic is intense in Seattle, and if he was having trouble, she'd go get him, or if I got caught late at work or whatever.
That's nice.
Sure.
And we didn't have to do before and after school care because she came out and helped, which was tremendous for us. My mother and I built a 2-family home together and lived in the 2 sides of it. So
wow, your mother herself seems like an angel. She helped you many, many times.
Yes. So that really was a big deal, and just so helpful and beneficial to all of us. So I had reinvented my life. We got the house built and moved in, which took 4 years. And I had rebuilt my career. So my daughters were now 12 and 14. And for the first time ever, after the divorce, because I had zero interest in dating anyone, meeting anyone new, not on my radar. I had so many other things I was focused on. But all of a sudden it was like, wow, life is going really, really well. And I'm going through in my head, like, what's missing? Something needs to change. What's missing? I'm like, oh, wow, I'm ready to meet a great guy. So I asked my younger girlfriends who were actively dating or were engaged or had remarried. I'm like, where'd you meet? Where'd you meet your great guy? And several of them said to me, oh, Wendy, you just need to go on match.com. And I'm like, match. What? What are you saying to me? I didn't know what online dating was because it had been 25 years for me.
You had no reason to know what it was.
Exactly. But I wasn't meeting anyone, through church or through work or friends of friends. And it's just, life was different as a 43-year-old who, actually, no, I was 49 at that time. I was 43 when I divorced. And so friends helped me put together a profile on Match. And the minute I changed the geography, because most of those algorithms are based on distance, you put in what distance apart you're willing to be from the new person you'd like to meet. The minute I put in 10 miles, this profile came up, and I'm like, I know this man. Where do I know this man from? And I was reading through his profile that was very unique. There's nothing trite about it or predictable, but I know what it's going to say like 2-3 sentences ahead. And I'm like, how do I know this? How do I know this? I know him. And so I contact him and send him a message right away and said, where do I know you from? And the last sentence he had written in his profile was, any woman on a spiritual journey, particularly one interested in an LBL, we have to meet. So I had to Google because I'm like, what is LBL?
Yeah,
what is
right.
And I had learned to ask my guides to help me Google because, acronyms can mean a lot of different things. But I'll be honest, I was ruling out some weird drug reference. I wasn't going to respond to.
Right.
Long distance.
What I found was Dr. Michael Newton, A Journey of Souls, and his 4-hour spiritual regression technique called Life Between Lives. You have this 4-hour guided session and you go on home to the light. You learn why you picked your body, your parents, what you're working on. You learn it's like a near-death experience without the trauma.
Without the dying part.
Oh, I hope that's what he's talking about. So I wrote to him and, said, where do I know you from? And are you referring to Michael Newton, Journey of Souls, Life Between Lives? And he's like, yes. So he writes back right away, yes, I'm getting ready to go for my second LBL. Have you had past life regression yourself? Have you had a life between lives? I said, no, but I found the website. This is fascinating. I can't wait to read the book because I ordered it from the library. I'm just waiting for it to be ready for pickup because it was before, Kindle instant gratification. I would have had it in 2 seconds.
Right? Sure.
So he's like, yes, it's exactly what I'm talking about. So we then play the How Do I Know You game for 3 weeks until we can get our schedules synced up to actually meet in person. And we meet for lunch. And by then I had read the book and I wasn't even a chapter into it. And I'm like, oh, I have to go for past life regression. I have to go for a life between lives. This is so important for me. Everything in here, I just need to explore. So
Totally.
It was just opening such a passion in me. So I'm sitting in the restaurant. I got there first. I'm sitting in the foyer watching the front door. And the minute he walked in, I could hear my guide saying, your life will never be the same. And it felt like there was an earthquake. It was just like, wow, I can feel the earth moving. And I couldn't stand up. I was just looking at him. I was gobsmacked. And he came in, he looked at me, and he just dropped down on one knee in front of me. And he's just looking in my eyes. And he says, I know you. We have to figure this out. So
I was about to say, wait a minute. He met you and proposed all in the same moment.
Oh my gosh.
He helped me up. We go into the restaurant. We finish each other's sentences for the next 3 hours.
Wow.
So cute.
And at the end of it, we'd gone through enough of our present life history. We both said at the same time, I know you from past lives. And for me to have that like coming out of my mouth, I've had my MBA degree since I was 22, and I worked in business. I worked in healthcare business development, and he was selling insurance, but, had gotten on this real spiritual journey about 10 years before I did. And we would later discover he had the soul contract to wake me up spiritually, which it was his presence and recognizing him at a soul level. Because I didn't know you could do that. Didn't know you could recognize. If you ever recognize someone and you're like, oh, there you are. I've been trying to find you. I've been waiting for you. I know you. And if you're like feeling like we have to catch up and you're finishing each other's sentences, that's a soulmate.
Right.
It's someone you've known many times before. And you likely have a soul contract to meet, to work on important things together. So we then dated exclusively for a little over a year. And he then ended it by email.
Oh my gosh.
And I about lost my mind.
Understandable.
Just so
Cold?
startled just to do it by email.
That's cold.
Yeah.
So I waited. Someone said to me, well, you started online, you ended online.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Okay.
I waited a couple days until I could form words. And then I called him because I was not going to respond to that type of an email. And it was very well thought out. I mean, it was like 2 pages, very well thought out. He was a writer. He was a published writer, but still, it was just a heck of a way to end it. And I called him and said, got your email.
Care to elaborate?
Agree. We can't be dating anymore based on what you've expressed and how you've ended it. But I would like some closure. Could we meet for coffee? And, we just need to exchange some things that we had in each other's homes. And he said, yes, that's a great idea. Let's meet somewhere. So we did. And that turned into one of the best conversations in my life, and the things that hadn't been said and hadn't been, again, it was a 3-hour conversation. So, and it was kind of interesting. It paralleled the beginning. And at that point I thought, okay, this is done. I just need to go mend my broken heart, focus on other areas of life, be grateful for what we had and let it go.
Sure.
Well, if you're not done working with a soulmate, and if you still have more to learn together, we start meeting each other everywhere. I mean, it was ridiculous. It wasn't
like on purpose or just accidentally?
We just keep running into each other 3,
randomly.
4, 5 times. And it wasn't like we were going to places we'd gone together. And it's like, oh boy, this is... universe is trying to get your attention. You've got to finish business.
Yeah.
So what we agreed was we would become spiritual seekers together. I helped him get his first book published. He's actually the client in my first book, which I was so stuck. I didn't know how to finish it. I had been writing fiction, nonfiction. I was like all over the place. I'd started like 5 books and I just couldn't figure it out. In his session, because I became a past life regressionist, he took me to my first sessions as the client. He found the regressionist for me. So there just was so much more that we needed to unravel together. And we found over the 8 years that we knew each other, we found 21 shared lives together.
Oh, wow.
It was just a lot to unravel.
Yeah.
So questions how that all rolled out, because that's what took me down that path of my own sessions, my own first past life regression session. It was 2 hours.
Okay.
It was Michael Newton therapist in downtown Seattle. And as I said, my former boyfriend actually drove me to it. And that session was incredible because I found not 1, but 2 past lives. And the biggest thing that happened in that 2 hours is I released a lifetime of anxiety.
Oh.
And no longer have that and to have that be accomplished so quickly, it was a game changer. And it was
I'm
what was
sure.
to just free me up. And I also said to her, get your book out, get your calendar out, because it's back in, paper calendar time. I said, get your book out. It was 2011. I said, let's book my Life Between Lives. I want to book my 4-hour session. And I want to have it a year from now. And she's looking at me. She's like, I don't know if my calendar even goes that far. And she said, why a year from now? I said, I don't know, but some things are supposed to happen. And I think I'm supposed to learn how to meditate, because I was not an ideal client going into that first session.
Okay.
And she appropriately cautioned me and said, you seem pretty type A, want to control everything. You have no spiritual practice. You've never done anything like this. So we're just going to have to be willing to say this is going to be a wonderful experience and experiment together, because we don't know if you're even going to be able to relax enough. And instead, I turned out to be this incredibly privileged person that has the deepest, most profound, wonderful sessions as the client.
Oh,
Because not every past life regressionist does. When I did the LBL a year later, which my former friend also took me to, and I transcribed it, because I really think your session should be recorded for you. Most people do offer to record them for you. And if they don't, record it yourself, because you want that information, because you won't necessarily remember everything you said, because you're channeling your higher self, you're channeling God. And you may not remember everything consciously. So that recording is so important.
Sure.
When I transcribed the LBL, I had 65 pages of information I had not known. So
wow.
65 pages. Wow.
It changes your life. I have some of the richest, deepest sessions because they've been needed for me. It's part of how I became a certified spiritual teacher, how I became a Reiki Master energy healer, how I became a channel, an author. It just was needed for my purpose. And that is why, if I'd been told all that when I was 36, I would have said, you got the wrong girl.
Not me.
Right.
What are you talking about? I think I would have blocked it. So I think that's why I didn't get it. It came out, bit by bit as I was ready for it. And I needed to get to that point where I was 49 and, now ready to meet that soulmate that was going to just
take you on that next part of your journey.
On that path. And I needed that broken heart to let go of everything being a certain way, because I thought we were on the path to getting married. Did I know there was craziness? Yes, I knew it was the most intense relationship. I've never wanted or liked or tolerated an intense relationship. But it had the highest highs and the lowest. 21 shared past lives together.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Many of them were married. There were also best friends. There were siblings. There was mother and son. Because we don't always have the same role with people.
Right.
Yeah, you switch them up.
I would find that was key with that former boyfriend, with that important soulmate, was he also had the contract to break my heart repeatedly until I stepped fully into my power without abusing it. So that's what we needed to accomplish. And I discovered I had a lot of karma for being a heartbreaker.
Oh, Wendy.
It's not fun. That was not easy. You can imagine what my romantic relationships have been like in this lifetime as a result of that. They've been really, really challenging. So I had to do better. I just had to raise up from that. And that experience with him balanced that karma. Karma's not a punishment. It's meant to be a teaching tool. I see it as unbalanced energy. It's like a pin has been put in something where the teeter-totter's just way out of whack.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You have to go back to it. If not with that same person or place or whatever's going to trigger it and bring it back up again, there'll be some way that opportunity comes back around for you. So that was wonderful to get to transmute that karma. And then the way it was showing up with me, I also had a lot of karma for having abused my power. And the way that was showing up in this lifetime was I didn't want to step to the plate. I just was shirking. I was not sharing spiritual gifts. And we are meant to share those. We absolutely have to share those and let go of the fear around it or whatever's holding us back around it. If it lands, wonderful. If it doesn't land, that's fine. You still did what you were meant to do, and you got to let it go. Let go of those control illusions, let go of the expectations, just, find those ways to keep balancing your own energy and ground and clear your own energy. So it just was a big deal. And we needed to, finish and go through those experiences. So I'm forever grateful. I met him, and I'm forever grateful that we just were able to finish it up and not need to be in contact anymore. So because that's what happens when you fully balance those scales. You don't need to be in each other's life anymore. I have a good friend who was married twice, which she did with very open heart, as did all parties involved. And both times, when she divorced and had completed and balanced up, both of them, no longer in touch, moved literally across the country.
Wow.
And, just didn't need to be in touch anymore because the scales have been balanced. So
I have a question. What exactly is past life energy healing?
I see past life energy healing, past life regression is a way of accomplishing that. And we often carry energy with us that's not serving us in this lifetime, and we don't know where it's coming from. It might be from earlier in this lifetime, but we're not conscious of it, or we are conscious of it and we still can't figure out how to resolve it. There can be fears, there can be phobias, fear of snakes, fear of dogs, fear of heights, fear of intimacy, fear of success, just spiders, water. There's just so many different things. Public speaking. Oh my goodness, that one's fascinating. Because I think that really relates to, it used to be, times were a lot more dangerous. And if you spoke out against the monarchy or whatever the powers were that be, you could be beheaded, you could be tortured, you could be thrown in prison and starved to death. You could be just ostracized.
Yeah.
And when you were ostracized, when you didn't fit in with the tribe, you usually didn't survive.
That even reminds me of how many witches were burned at the stake.
Absolutely. And witches were typically older women who were a little bit different, more on the fringe, didn't necessarily have a close family,
right?
Speak up for them. And they often had wonderful abilities. Maybe they were healing with plant medicine. Maybe they were healing animals, people. Often they were midwives. They just were just a little bit different. And, or they were wealthy. And someone wanted to, look at the Salem witchcraft trials. When you accuse someone in Salem because they came into your dream, well, we all think about each other, or you can also say that, what is the proof of that? Guess what? When you accused someone and they were convicted, you got their property. Now, how is that a fair system?
I don't think I knew that part.
It's just, it was just a travesty. And of course, so many more in Europe went through those. So I've definitely had a lot of clients. And also we find a lot of relationship things that need to be unwoven. There's estranged children. There's, ex lovers and husbands and wives, parents, adult parents and children not speaking with each other. There's just siblings. There's just messiness. And we often find past life origin to it, that we're able to see what it is, And what we do during the session, because I'm working one-on-one with the client, is we invite in the higher self of that other person with their guides.
Oh, nice.
Come on in, because the higher self is usually great to work with, but just in case, bring in the guides for additional level of support and wisdom. And occasionally the higher self, because it's free will choice, occasionally the higher self will say, I don't care. Too bad, so sad. I still don't want to talk to you in this lifetime. I still think you're a jerk. Nothing seems to unweave it all. And all we can do is just do our best and let it go. And then we know that the guides will keep looking for opportunity if it's meant to come up.
Yeah. I feel like if people took the time to explore past lives, there's so much healing that can be done in the now moment by doing that. I feel like it's almost something that should be like mandatory, I feel like, for people to have to go through, because so many people are carrying old wounds and old traumas and behaving in such a way because of those old wounds and those old traumas. But if they can go back and explore it and offer healing to that moment, then all of a sudden it just unravels, and it's not like, it's literally like not even necessary anymore. It's like, it's like a weight you literally don't have to carry anymore. So I feel like the work that you do is so important and it's so profound. Can you please do our audience a favor and tell us if they would like to work with you, what kind of things you offer, what your services are, and where they can find you online, please?
Absolutely. So I can be found online at wendyrosewilliams.com. And there you'll find I offer a package of 3 energy healing sessions. And the first session is 2.5 hours, followed by a 1 hour and a 1 hour. And that includes past life regression, as well as going to a healing temple, getting connected with your guide. We go through a crystal cave for healing. We go to the place of all knowledge where your book of life is waiting for you. You get to ask up to 20 important questions, and you get to write them out before the first session. And then we work on those and have your higher self and guides come in and assist with those health questions, wealth and career, relationships, and miscellaneous. So, whatever needs to come up. And we're working not only on lives on Earth, but we're working on lives in other planets, if necessary, and in other dimensions, because that soul memory is eternal. And it can be, inputs can be coming in from other times and places that are just not beneficial. I had some injuries from when I was a mermaid that were affecting my mobility in this lifetime, that were causing problems. And we found that just the tail had been crushed. And it was, I know it sounds crazy, but I tell you, it's like proof is in the pudding. It really doesn't matter what you believe when you physically or emotionally or financially or mentally, wherever the healing comes in. It's just amazing, what the results can be from that. And for people to be able to let go of pain, anxiety, depression, and stuck energy, a lot of it is not being in the moment. The anxiety is like we're too worried about the future, and the depression is we're like rehashing the past. When you can learn how to be in the present moment and enjoy that to the best of your ability, it really helps with a lot of these issues. We're also healing from a psychology standpoint. We're healing what's in the subconscious and in the unconscious, because our conscious self, of course, is just that little tip of the iceberg, and the rest of it's underneath the water, appropriately so. But if it's negatively impacting now and tripping you up, let's resolve it.
Yes,
absolutely. So I highly recommend everybody.
You trained with Dr. Brian Weiss, who's like amazing.
A legend.
I had the good fortune to train with Dr. Weiss. I also trained with one of Dr. Michael Newton's first degree students.
Amazing.
As well as with one of Dolores Cannon's students. So it's all 3 of the big therapists.
Wow.
in the US. And I also do offer 1 hour, what I call jumpstart energy healing sessions, because everyone's not ready to do that, package of 3 necessarily.
Sure.
So that's also an option. And I have a podcast called Waking Up Spiritually, which you can find at wakingupspiritually.com. But all this information's on the website. So just remember wendyrosewilliams.com, and you can find everything there. You'll also find workshops and events I do, fun, affordable group Zoom events. And you'll find my books there too, my 3 books.
Awesome. And you're also on YouTube. I wanted to throw that out there because I have that link listed too. Very, very cool. Thank you so much for sharing all of those links with our audience. So I will have them on the screen as you're speaking and in the video description box below. So if anybody feels called to work with you, they have the resources to do that. Do us a favor and ask her your famous question.
Okay. What is your greatest hope for the future of humanity?
That everyone can learn how to balance their own energy and get grounded and clear and be that beautiful heaven on earth bridge where we really feel peace in our lives, where we feel love and joy and gratitude. I mean, that's the state we're meant to be in. And the rest of it is just a lot of noise. So just being able to let go of that and just balance our emotions is such a big part of what we come here for.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
What a beautiful answer. This has been a great conversation. Wendy, you're like glowing. Your smile is amazing. Your eyes are
your energy.
Like
your energy. Great energy.
Right? Her energy is like literally like beaming. Like I can feel it through the screen.
And I love your story. It's such a fascinating one.
Absolutely.
I'm like truly inspired by your entire story and everything that you're doing. And I do feel like you're definitely, doing your soul's purpose or whatever at this point. Do you feel that?
Yes, absolutely. Some of the ways can be surprising, and I just enjoy them all. I got into animal rescue, which I wasn't expecting, and I have the privilege of being my first granddaughter was born last June. And
congratulations!
I'm now working as her nanny a couple days a week, so that's just really special too.
Yeah, so cool. And I wanted to bring up. Yeah, I wanted to bring up a synchronicity. Do you remember when we first started the call, I complimented your shirt with the lighthouse and how I tied it to Sarah, whose video just came out on Thursday or Friday? She too identified as having a past life as a mermaid. So that's another synchronicity.
We got to hook them up.
Yeah, that's very, very cool.
We got to get her in contact with you.
Awesome. It's just people's belief systems are just getting broader, and it's just very personal. It's not something you have to share publicly, but some very, very interesting things can come up during the healing sessions that people just know are true for them. And as I said, the proof's in the pudding,
right?
And when you have these physical healings that come up, it's just a really, really big deal, as well as the other areas of life.
Yeah, I just want to speak from experience because I've had past life regression one time. And I just want to say that it is very, very true that like you can literally be carrying around a wound from a past lifetime that you don't even understand that that's how it all occurred, but you can be carrying it. And then just by the fact that you go through a past life regression session and identify the origin of it, that in itself is healing. And then the weight that you feel lifted off of you, it's literally like you just don't have to carry it around anymore. And it's so freeing. Like I highly recommend it to anybody. Like, so go to Wendy Williams's website. Definitely check it out. Book a session with her, wendyrosewilliams.com, and get your own healing and, have your own beautiful breakthroughs.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. I'm so glad that you're able to speak to that. And that's the exact concept is we find the lifetime of origin. And when we're able to say that was then, and this is now.
And recognize the lesson that was supposed to come from it so you can learn it and move on. Check that box.
Exactly. Because that's why it's bubbling up again. That's why the excessive emotions are coming up again. That's why you can just be, knee-jerking into this fear, this phobia, this nope, I can't possibly do that. That there's a reason for that because there's been a challenging outcome for it previously. And the soul, and or the ego, because the ego's job is to keep us alive, and it can just be getting triggered. The ego does not like change. Just wants, okay, I need to keep him or her alive, therefore steady state. Don't you dare try anything new.
Change is scary to the ego, right? Change is very scary to ego.
Exactly. So we just have to learn how to, get ourselves through that.
Wow. So important. I'm so glad that we get a chance to bring this message to our audience. I really, really am.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're all doing and who you're being in the world. And thank you for having me as your guest.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
you,
And for
Wendy.
our audience that's sticking around, please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. All right, Wendy, we do a little 3-piece thing as we close out our show. We do much love, peace, and namaste. Do you mind joining us for that?
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Much love.
Peace, and namaste.
Namaste.
Hello, Creator. I have a question for you. When you were a kid, how did you play? What sort of games and imaginations would you wake up in the morning and get so excited about? And you would run outside and get together with your friends and just dive into these creations. How did you play when you were a kid? My name is Allison Holly, and I am the creator and founder of True Creator Summer Camp. This is our annual adult spiritual summer camp retreat where we get to play with all of the fun things that this awakening journey has opened up for us. And this includes things like learning how to verbally channel, an ET contact circle, dance parties, manifestation workshops, nature excursions, yoga, cacao ceremonies, all of these incredible things that make it fun to play as an adult. So I want to invite you to summer camp. Go ahead and click the link and I'll see you there.
All right, guys, I got an exclusive deal for you. Our soul sister, Allison Holly, is offering a $200 discount for her True Creator Summer Camp 2025 just for you. Use the code HelloAllie at checkout to claim your spot in this magical, heart-expanding adult summer camp experience. Payment plans are available too, so you can follow your joy without the stress. Let your inner child come out to play, and we'll see you in the forest.